Greetings, citizens of Earth. For Earth Hour, instead of turning off my lights, I think I would like to talk about rational environmentalism. And I'm doing this because I want to bring Lee Doren back over to this side. And I don't really think he's far away, just some things he's got wrong. Excuse me if my mic quality is not up to par. I'm having technical issues with my other microphone, so I hope hopefully this will come out just fine. I think if Lee has a few issues when it comes to environmentalism. I think it is something that everybody shouldn't really be against. I mean, in no way you can be really against environmentalism. It's just talking about whether whether or not is effective or does it work. So, what does it mean to be have a green philosophy? What does it mean to be green? And I think the first most important is the eye on the future. You're looking into the future and you're thinking, what comes next? You're thinking 3 steps ahead. You're thinking, okay, when oil runs out, and it will, and so will coal, and when it runs out, what will we do? So that brings us to sustainability. Are we living our lives in such a way that we can maintain this indefinitely? So the question is, can we maintain the sort of lifestyle that we live and do this until the rest of the time, or whatever? Can the planet support it? That's important. And another thing that environmentalism deals with is actually the health effects. Whether you want to admit it or not, Lee, we have such a thing as called smog alerts in America, okay? And that's not going to go away until we learn to stop burning stuff like coal and oil. Or finding something that is a whole lot better, such as hydrogen. We can burn hydrogen and there be no ill effects as there is with burning gasoline. So there are things that we can do in order to improve the situation, and environmental policies are one of the ways to achieve that. So not only having policies to lower our smog emissions, but also having programs that actually help us get off our dependency on oil. One of the things that Lee wants us to do is increase our oil production. America, as most people don't know, is the 3rd largest oil producer in the world. Russia just took number 1, so Russia just passed Saudi Arabia, which is number 2 now, and then there's us, number 3. We have good amounts of crude oil and sweet crude, so we got good of that. But also we have discovered shale deposits. We have shale deposits. That's right. And counting all of this, we could probably, thinking of current rates of consumption, we can probably use these resources for about 100 years. So it seems that we're pretty good off. But of course that takes in only for no growth in our demands. And we all know that's going to happen. So there's going to be an increase in our demands. One of the predictions is by 2030 our energy demand is going to be 50% more, 50% increased. So we're going to have to go through that that energy supply sooner than 100 years. So I'm thinking ahead. Are we going to be ready for the day when coal and oil are no longer around? That's what our environmental policies are for. Now, you may improve the condition by simply increasing supply, but that doesn't get rid of all the other problems that we face and all the other things that we have to address. One of the reasons that conservation is a superior strategy is that, well, we make coal and oil last longer as a result. These are not renewable resources. So when it runs out, it runs out. So instead of increasing the supply side of the supply and demand curve in order to bring prices down, we need to reduce demand. We're going to have to do this somehow. It's the only way, it's the only sane way of actually achieving independence. We're not going to achieve it simply by just increasing our own supply. So part of that solution will have to be conservation at some level. So environmentalism is normally portrayed as somehow economically bad or bad for the poor, as Lee says it, but that's not the case. Take one case. Many people in Africa are getting solar panels to light their homes and charge their cell phones. They're not clamoring for oil and coal to do it. They're not, because it requires the building of an infrastructure, an entire infrastructure, in order to do that. But the solar panels bring them energy where coal and oil cannot. So you're saying that that just somehow this environmentalism will hurt them. That's not the case. We're improving their lives long before coal and oil. Another thing is that there are programs going in there teaching them to live sustainably. As a result, one of them, they actually came up with an idea of taking food scraps like banana peels and sawdust and compacting that and using that as a burning fuel. It works just as good. They can still cook, and yet they don't have to deforest the forest that they live around in order to get fuel to cook. Same quality of life. So as a portraying, as some sort of reduction in quality of life, that's bullcrap. We want everyone to have electricity, to keep their food refrigerated, and be able to travel to work. We want that. That's our goal. But we want to do it in such a way that it's sustainable, is that we're not depending on a resource that is ultimately finite. So this brings us around to, let's take this to subsidies. So why is this being subsidized? Well, first things first. And just about nearly everything receives more subsidies than the green sector. Within a given period, big oil receives more tax breaks and subsidies than twice that of any green sector would. So, if you're going to want to complain about subsidies, please do it in proportion. But in the way you do it, Lee, it seems like you're promoting oil and not getting him on that, but while attacking for environmentalism for the same thing, and they're not even as bad, really. Now, I agree with some subsidies, and there is a right way and a wrong way. But why should we subsidize this green technology? Why should we subsidize putting wind farms in and solar panels and things like that? Why do we want this? Well, first of all, it's basically a historical fact that the free market does not fund research. It just doesn't happen. They don't fund scientific research. The government is normally the one who gives money and grants to subsidize research for these sorts of things. So, as a result of government money, they're researching ways to make this technology cheaper. They're making better batteries, they're making better wind farms, they're making better solar panels. And they're also researching other biofuels. these won't necessarily be part of the answer in the future. But the market is not going to subsidize something like that. And as a result, purely supply and demand is not going to solve this future energy supply. Oil's cheap now. So where's the money going to be? It's going to be on oil. And then when oil runs out, we won't have money or the ability or the time to research next alternatives. We have to think about this now. This is normally what is called a positive externality. These exists in the market. In this case, we're going to need research in order to make these technologies actually compatible with coal and oil. And we're going to need to do that. It's not going to happen by magic. We have to make a planned investment in this. And you know what? It's getting to the point where wind and solar power actually is becoming competitive. You can actually get a flexible solar panel, and they will produce your power for about $1 per watt. And it's almost getting the same way with wind. And we're coming up on there's new quantum dot technology made from organic materials that can also improve the efficiency of solar panels and their energy output. So this is right around the corner, but only because we've actually taken the time out and the money to put into these technologies. And it didn't and these results that are coming up and these innovations that are coming up are directly a result of government intervention in this case, and not the free market. Another externality is called a negative externality, and normally this is pollution. And you know, coal and oil is cheap, but what if they actually had to insure for the real cost of coal and oil? If they really had to place insurance on oil rigs for the actual damage they do, instead of actually depending on further government bailouts and whatnot, in order to help actually clean up the beaches and to have coal workers having health problems. And they do. A lot of them get cancer. Why? Because there's a lot of heavy metals typically in coal. And so if they actually have to pay for things like that, I can guarantee it'll be more expensive. But because the cost of pollution is never taken on, and it's just simply given us to you and me to simply deal with, it gets cheaper. And the solution for coal and oil and trying to find something better gets put off because, well, it's so cheap. You see? So, because of positive and negative externalities, we have to have environmental policies. Free market is not God. Not in this case. The free market is great at getting you a flat panel, high definition TV. It's great at that. It's great at getting you the latest and greatest computer. It's absolutely wonderful. It's, absolutely great in giving you choices in restaurants and clothing and things like that, but it's not necessarily good when it comes to environmental issues, because people are not educated. They cannot necessarily always find out how products are made and compare them to which, okay, this product is made in a better way. Normally they have to put that on the label. So, hey, we do this. And a lot of companies are trying to actually sell their products by saying they're eco-friendly. But that's not always going to solve it. Education is one part, research is another, and investing in ways to conserve, and that's going to have to be part of our answer for our energy, for the way we live our lifestyles. If we don't take these answers in, and then what are we going to do? Because if you think that environmentalism is bad for the economy, just wait until the day we run out of coal and oil, and we don't have an answer for that. And we don't have a means to switch over to something else. Our quality of living is going to guarantee to go a whole lot lower, and there's going to be shortage of a lot of things, and there's going to be a lot of starvation. Because we don't have oil for fertilizers anymore, or pesticides, because we didn't find answers for that, because we couldn't actually get the things to the market anymore. There's going to be a whole lots of reasons to people why they're going to live a whole lot lower standard of living. I want to assure that. And a rational, well thought out environmentalism is the key. So everyone, so happy Earth Hour. I hope that was great for you.